Yeah, okay. Hey everyone. So today we're talking about storytelling. And it's actually such an interesting topic that has been going on in my mind for quite a while. And it actually happened through, I don't know about you, Kai, if it has been like, if this topic has been stirring up in your mind as well. But uh, like this issue has been like, I've been thinking about it since since I saw a post by a production studio here in Doha,
Hmm.
where they posted a commercial,
Yeah.
and I had watched that commercial, and I was watching, they had done the commercial, like it's technically very good. Like I watched it, I was really impressed by the technical aspects, like the lighting, the custom design, the art direction, and it was like amazing from that perspective.
Hmm.
But when I was watching the commercial, I had something in mind about what the commercial was about, and by the end of the commercial, it turned out that the commercial was about something else.
Hmm.
So I had, like, through while I was watching the commercial, I was thinking it was about a fashion. It was about a fashion brand or a clothing brand.
Hmm.
And by the end, it turned out that the commercial was for a hotel, and it was trying to promote a hotel,
Hmm.
right? And I was really surprised, and I actually wrote him a comment on Instagram. I commented and I was like, this looks amazing and it's technically very good,
Yeah.
but I just don't think there is a story, or the story that you're trying to convey is not exactly what I perceived. And I actually wrote that there's no story, because I didn't feel like there was actually a certain story that they were trying to convey. It was just cool shots mixed together,
Hmm.
right? And that started some discussion, and it kind of created a bit of a heated discussion. Actually, some people agreed with me, others disagreed, and and then the production house actually responded, and they commented that should every video, or should every commercial, does every commercial have to have a story, right?
Hmm.
And I was thinking, like that's such an interesting topic. Like, does every video, does every commercial actually have to have a story, or can we just post cool motion picture that is just for the sake of being there, you know?
Hmm.
And yeah, that's where I was thinking, that's where the topic came from, and that's what we're talking about today,
Hmm.
I guess. So and obviously I think we can extend this topic to things further than commercials and films. Even travel vlogs, you often see YouTubers talking about that as well. Like
Hmm.
somebody would post a travel vlog, or somebody would post a cinematic travel film, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people would be commenting on it, kind of saying like, oh, this doesn't have a story. It's just it has some cool footage with some flashy transitions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and this includes that as well. And so yeah, I guess so. I want to hear your thoughts on the topic first, Kai,
Uh-huh.
before we actually like really dive into the details about the topic. So yeah, what do you think
L-
about storytelling in general, in regards to motion picture, right?
Actually, like you, I've been thinking specifically about the concept of having a story in a video for especially recent years. And I think
Mm-hmm.
my thought is that specifically in this generation where all cameras are so advanced, editing programs are so easy to learn, and
Yeah.
everyone can acquire skill very easily, storytelling becomes the most crucial thing ever. Like, I mean, before, if you,
Mm-hmm.
you say like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, it's possible to
Mm-hmm.
shoot cool videos without the need of good story, because it was still
Mm-hmm.
hard to produce very good quality image back then. But I'd say nowadays it's so
Mm-hmm.
easy. Obviously, like in certain aspects, it's still hard. But I'd say
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
like layman, they cannot tell the difference between a mediocre production maybe and a very very high production commercial. So I say, if you want the audience to really remember the commercial, then I'd say that you need to have a
Yeah.
good story. And I think a story is what really separates you from the rest of other videos, because that's when you really can show your personality and your originality through stories. Because Stories are personal in a lot of times, and stories is what makes the audience feel connected to the video itself, right? And obviously there are actually cases where videos with extremely good visuals still let the audience remember them, but I think that's the rare case. I don't think that the commercial that you mentioned earlier, the hotel one, is something really memorable, because honestly, I know the production was good. You just showed me earlier, and I don't think it's necessary to show the audience what the video is about. It's just basically a very fancy editorial video. That's how I can say it. But like, it's really well produced. But compared to everything that's on the market right now, I don't think it's anything memorable. Not to say that it's bad, but without the story, it's really hard to make people remember. And I feel like that's the whole point of commercial, right? You want people to remember the video. And like, and I want to bring back to the topic that we talked about 2 episodes before, which is short format content. Short format content, even if something, if you shot it with an iPhone that is like no budget at all, but the story is good, then it can get like millions of views, hundreds of millions of views even, and people talk about it. So
100%.
Right, so like story is what gets viral. Story is what gets people talk about. So I'd say stories is always more important than good visuals. I would say that. Obviously, we might have some debates about this thing, but what's your thought on that?
Yeah, and we definitely think that visuals are important. Like why not? Like having beautiful imagery is like it's also very important. Like it's something pleasing to the eye, hooks the audience. But like you mentioned, it's not something that is memorable. Like if you want people to stick with what you're doing, and if you want people to kind of connect with what you're actually producing, then story is the thing, right? That you should go for, right? And I don't know. Like I think, to be honest, I also think that you can post cool footage. Like you can post cool videos and cool images, but if you post them with the idea in mind that this has a story while it doesn't, it's just cool footage, then I think that's a problem, right? And I think that we need to distinguish between both. What's the cool footage and what am I actually trying to say, right? Like if I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this. If you want to like post a cool sequence of footage that you're proud of and think are really good for that purpose, like there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong. In fact, that's really amazing, but mixing story, but saying that story is unnecessary, and at the same time mixing cool footage and saying that it has a story, then I think that's a problem. Like forcing a story on a sequence that doesn't actually have a story, right? And I think, like, I understand that is subjective. Some people might think that there are stories in things that the other people might not think there are, but at the same time, sometimes when people there are things that are obvious, right? Like there are things that actually, like, it's clear that they have a point. There are videos, there's motion picture that has a point, and you can understand what the filmmaker is trying to say.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that really scares me actually right now is that I feel like I have learned the technical side of things, and I really struggle with storytelling because it's actually hard. It's really hard.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And I also struggle with within myself. It's like, what am I trying to say? Right? Like I posted this cool photo on Instagram. Like, what is this photo trying to say? And most of the times it's actually saying nothing, right? It's just a cool photo of a tree, or it's just a cool photo of a building, right? It's showing something, but it's not necessarily telling a complete story about something.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what I'm going for, but other times it's actually I want to actually push myself in order to create stories that resonate with people and that actually connect with an audience, right? And yeah, there's a difference between both, and I think that it's important to distinguish the difference between both and know what the person wants, right? Like as a content creator, what do you want?
I think both are important though. It's not like stories are more important than visuals, because I feel like a very good analogy that I can think of right now is food. So a food can taste very good, and if it look good at the same time, then it's amazing. But the thing is, the essence of food.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the essence of food is to eat it and to taste it. So like the taste of food is the story. But then if the food look good, then I would want to eat the food even more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if it has
Yeah,
good
yeah.
cinematography,
Yeah.
then I feel like I'm more immersed into the story. Like it's even better. So
Definitely.
but the thing
100%.
is, it has to taste good first. If it doesn't taste good, I'm not gonna come back to this restaurant, right? Even if it looks bad, you know, not that bad, but it's like it doesn't look that good, but it tastes amazing, then I will still go back to the same restaurant, right? I think that's the
Yes.
that's the
100%.
point. And the thing is, I feel like storytelling, you cannot copy it because technical side of things, you
Yes.
can always imitate someone. You know how they did the lighting, how they color grade. These are all you can imitate. But I feel like the reason why storytelling is something that it's so original and you cannot copy, you can think of it this way. Like sometimes someone tells a joke and it's funny, but another person tells a joke, it's just not funny, but it's the same joke, right? The reason is this person just has the quality to tell the story because that's the way he is. So you cannot copy a story. I mean, maybe you can in a very, you know, if you're really talented, but I still think that it's something that you cannot really just, you know, mass produce it. And that's what makes you separate from other people.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And also going back to what we were talking about earlier, you know, about the episode that we did about Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as filmmakers, what are we? You know, we've said before that we're experience creators, right?
Yeah.
We create an experience for an audience.
Yeah.
And what else, right? We're also storytellers, right? We're also visual storytellers. And as a human, like you are, like our life is a story, and stories are something that resonates with us, and it's something that is ingrained within our nature, right? Like if you look at the old stories of you know, like old scripture and old ancient you know, stories, the reason they are famous is because they are stories and they have lasted for thousands of years, right?
And it spread.
And-
You know, people
and-
talk about it. You can spread
Yeah.
it. You know, that's why it's viral.
till this day,
Right?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And so that means that stories are something that we resonate with and that we connect with as human beings. And so it's a powerful thing to have and to include in your work, right?
Definitely.
And so why leave it on the side, and why should we ignore it? But in fact, that it's something that we should aim for and aim to create. And like I mentioned before, it's not easy, and it's something that scares me because I don't know. Like sometimes I ask myself, like, I've taken this picture and I've shot this video, but what am I actually saying, right? And to be honest, I think that you can shoot a video that is technically very good. You can take a picture that looks amazing, right? But it's not until you say something that it kind of has an energy that carries an energy in it that connects with other people, right? And also like also we have this you know, as filmmakers we're kind of fortunate, right? Because we know about this craft that allows us, that gives us a voice, right? Like you and I, Kai, we know how to produce something that we have a voice that we can communicate with and communicate with to other people, right? And like you can know about gear, you can know about the film industry, and you can know about cinema, but it's not until you know about you try to tell stories that you can actually reach out to other people.
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
And yeah, I mean, yeah. And it's a tool that you can express yourself and practice your voice to change something in this world. And so why leave it on the side, right? Why
You
not
know,
use it
the thing is,
in order to do that?
I feel like when you say each time you take a photo, you're wondering like whether or not you should be telling a story. I don't think it always necessarily needs to have a story. I think the good thing about photography is sometimes it's just you discover what's the story in that photo after you shot it. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily need to be like, oh, I'm trying to tell something, that's why I took this photo. And I think photography is actually a good way for us to experiment different ways of telling story. Because for me, my experience is like when I took a photo, I realized that this photo gave me a feeling that I've never intended to have, and it inspired me. So I decided to use this feeling in some other project that I'm doing. So I feel like photography is actually a good way for you to experiment and to find out new things. You know, you don't always necessarily need to try to tell a story through photography, but rather you're just exploring things and finding stories, right?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point that you're making, Kai. I never thought of this, and I also have the same. I've experienced the same thing that you've experienced, which is like capturing something and then realizing the story within what I have captured later on, or gaining that feeling that the from the photo.
Yeah.
Actually, that's such an interesting. And also, I don't know, Kai. Like, is it that what we like that what I am saying and what you're also saying, is it too abstract? Like, is it a one-sided point of view, or is there another side to the to this topic that we're having? Is there a side, like, are we too abstract here? Are we like one-sided? Or I mean, is there also because I also don't want to be missing out on something, like should you actually be aiming to only tell stories, or should you actually be just focusing on like capturing the moment, or just doing something for the sake of being cool, or just because you felt like taking a video at a certain moment of time? And I don't know what's the
I think
right
it's
answer
just
here,
you just find the balance. That's it. I don't think there's necessarily what's right or wrong. But again, as I said, I believe in this specific generation, storytellings is kind of has more impact than visuals, just because it is easier nowadays to capture visuals. And if you want to stand out, then story is what makes people talk about. There's not necessarily, like, obviously everything is art. Storytelling is art. Photography is art. No, these are all subjective. We're not saying which one is better. I'm just saying that if you have a
100%.
goal, if you have a goal to spread a message, if you have if you even have a message on the first place, like if you're trying to make people like connect with you and have empathy with you, then you have to have some context within that visual, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, as a filmmaker, you can focus on whatever you want, but it's just about are you trying to talk to people, or are you just trying to show people a visual? It's all about your goal. So what's your goal? Are you trying to connect with people, or right? So it doesn't really matter. It's just about what you want.
100%. 100%. I guess it's about what you want. Like, if you wanna, like we mentioned before, like if you wanna like capture a cool video, there's nothing wrong with that. If you wanna tell a story, that's also cool and amazing, but it's about what you want, what you're trying to tell, right? And also what we're saying is that, like, if you want something to resonate with people and connect with, then obviously stories are have proven themselves time and time again, and they're a powerful tool to have, and they are something that you can use as a voice for yourself, to tell something. And
the thing is,
convey something
like
to
you
the
said
audience.
earlier, storytelling is like it's existed since I don't know how long ago, right? Since the first human, there's storytelling. I don't believe it's ever gonna go away. People are just gonna continue to tell story. But if we want to bring the example of the hotel editorial video that you mentioned earlier, I'd say that these kind of video commercial has its own place, especially in fashion, because like you said, when you first saw that hotel commercial, you thought it's a fashion editorial, right? And specifically for fashion editorial, those videos because editorial video, you don't need to have a story. Editorial video, just think of it more like a graphic design. It is trying to give people a vibe. It's trying to make people feel. It's more like a abstract. This is actually abstract. It's like you try to feel about this brand, like, I don't know, Chanel or Gucci.
Convey a feeling,
it's a convey a feeling, and it doesn't has to have a story. But that's the purpose of that video, is to make people feel like, oh my god, this is like so cool, so aesthetic, whatever it is. So that's the point of these editorial fashion videos. But if you're just, and especially I feel like hotels, man, come on, like every hotel, they can look good, especially in the Gulf area. Like every hotel is probably amazing. So
Yeah,
if you
100%.
really want to have a competition,
Yeah.
if you want to have a competition, then you got to bring out something more. Unless you have something that is so cool that no other hotel has it, then you can just take a video. I mean, shoot a video of it. But
Yeah.
from what I saw, and plus that video specifically, they're showing so much of that the models, that I wasn't even paying attention to the environment.
100%. 100%.
Like I wasn't even looking at
Yeah,
the hotel. I
yeah.
was just looking at the people, man.
Yes. That's the thing, bro, because the dresses, the lighting, and the people were the focal points of the. If we want to like actually dive deep into the video and analyze it, I think that the focal point were the people, and not necessarily the environment, right? There were people there who were having fun, but I wasn't seeing much of the hotel, and so that was the misdelivery there, right? I think, at least from my side, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's beautifully shot, but you know, I think there's a like there's the point, and yeah, there's what and there's you delivering that point, right? And yeah, it depends on whatever way you want to tell the story, but you have to, you also as a filmmaker, you also get to tell the audience what they should be seeing, right? And if we're seeing people that are well dressed, then I'm immediately drawing that connection into fashion, right?
The
And
thing is, actually
that is where the
a lot of filmmaker does this mistake though. Like I believe that this production company, they're very good at art department. So sometimes you get so drawn into the technical aspect of it, and technical side of thing is very addicting. You just want to keep making it because it feels good when you're trying to polish the footage, color grading, whatever. It's just so fun to do it.
Yeah.
But
100%.
the hard part is you have to talk to people that you haven't seen them, which is the storytelling part, right? And a lot of filmmakers, especially, we're not trained for the marketing side of video commercial. We don't really, because there's a client, right? The client, they're in charge of how the marketing is going to be like, but we just focus on what we're good at, which is the technical side of things. So sometimes I feel like the storytelling thing, the part of storytelling and the marketing should have a blend. So the storytelling should affect the marketing. That's why when you're designing the story, you have to talk to the clients and how you're going to market it and all of this stuff. But they don't do any of that. The easiest way is just to shoot a beautiful commercial for the hotel, but that's actually what costs the least thinking, honestly. Not to say that they're not thinking, but it's harder to think of the story because you want to be different. But it's easy just to shoot a beautiful video now, right? Technically, it's hard because they have their experience, but in terms of brainstorming and all of this stuff, I feel like it's harder to think of a good story.
And also sometimes it's really helpful to step back and look at what you're actually doing, and at the same time say ask yourself some questions, just hold back and is this, what am I trying to convey, what am I actually trying to tell here or show the audience, and from that perhaps you could gain a sense of what you're creating and move towards the right path, and also storyboarding helps, right? If you storyboard, I don't know how does the production house work, but storytelling, I'm losing my thoughts here. What's it called? Storyboarding really helps helps you connect the dots.
Definitely.
Because you kind of see, it helps you develop a vision of what you're saying, what you're telling, right?
Which make me
and
think of there's this YouTuber, recently he shot this baseball video. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh yeah, Danny. I think his name is Danny.
You saw the video, right? The baseball one.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's the cinematography is really good, and I mean it's a very basic story, but it still made me want to see it because there's a story that it goes on, and plus the cinematography is beautiful, and I think that's a really good example. So the cinematography is beautiful. Plus And the story
they
doesn't even have to
both
be
blend
complicated.
together
Yes,
very well.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated. Definitely, it just has to be
Uh,
delivered
yeah,
well
uh.
with beautiful cinematography, and you're good.
That
you
that
know?
already can go viral.
And yeah,
You know, if you have that, I
100%.
wouldn't even say it's like a perfect balance, but as long as each element has its own, like, you know, it's there. It's already something that works. You
Mhm.
know, obviously anything can be improved, but that guy is already so good. Like, if you saw the behind the scene,
Yeah,
how he
yeah.
designed each shot, I'm really impressed, man. That, like, that guy, he shot something.
Yeah, man, he's really good. Dan is really good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.